Oh dear. It really went wrong for Keir Starmer this week. Embarrassing!
Also, if I may, are you not worried people will ask why you're holding a press conference about Nigel Farage 4 years out from a general election instead of focusing on your plans for the country?
And the Prime Minister sent a letter to all members of Parliament explaining it. This judgment is the unanimous judgment of all 11 justices. The first question is whether the lawfulness of the Prime Minister's advice to Her Majesty is justiciable. The courts have exercised a supervisory jurisdiction over the lawfulness of acts of the government.
In a stunning and explosive turn of events just 5 minutes ago, the Supreme Court has dealt a crushing blow to Keir Starmer's covert EU deal. This secret agreement, hidden from the public and even many within his own party, has finally been exposed, and the highest court in the land has struck it down with a ruling that could shatter Starmer's entire political future. What exactly was in this deal? How did it slip past scrutiny for so long? And what does this mean for the United Kingdom's fragile sovereignty and the Labour leader's grip on power? The answers are shocking, and the fallout is only beginning. For months, whispers about a hidden agreement between Keir Starmer and EU officials have swirled in political circles, but concrete evidence was scarce. Now, thanks to an unprecedented legal challenge, the Supreme Court has confirmed the existence of a secret plan that aimed to re-entangle the UK with the European Union in ways never publicly disclosed. The deal reportedly involved backdoor arrangements on trade, regulatory alignment, and even judicial oversight, directly undermining the promises made during the Brexit campaign. Starmer's camp had long denied any such pact, dismissing these claims as baseless conspiracy theories. But the court's ruling strips away all pretense, proving that behind the scenes, Starmer was negotiating to roll back Britain's hard-won independence. This revelation has sent shockwaves not just through Westminster, but across the entire nation. For millions of voters who supported Brexit, the idea that their Labour leader was secretly crafting deals to undo it feels like a betrayal of historic proportions. The Supreme Court's decision marks the first legal confirmation that such covert actions were underway. The ruling highlights serious constitutional breaches, stating that Starmer's deal violated parliamentary sovereignty and was crafted without public consultation or approval from elected representatives. This blatant circumvention of democratic process has ignited fury among MPs, activists, and citizens alike, fueling demands for accountability and immediate political repercussions. The timing of this ruling could not be more damaging. Starmer had been attempting to reshape his image as a unifying figure capable of leading Britain forward. But now he stands exposed as someone who has been quietly negotiating with the EU, potentially at odds with the interests of his own party and the British people. The court's verdict also threatens to deepen divisions within Labour, as hardline Brexit supporters inside the party feel betrayed and pushed to the edge. Already, murmurs of rebellion are growing louder, with some MPs openly calling for Starmer's resignation and a full investigation into how this secret deal was made without oversight. While Starmer has not yet issued a detailed response, sources close to him acknowledge the gravity of the situation. Legal experts suggest that the ruling could open the door to further challenges, including parliamentary inquiries and possibly criminal investigations into unlawful conduct. The Labour leader's political future now hangs by a thread, as his credibility and trustworthiness are questioned like never before. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. This Supreme Court ruling has exposed a hidden chapter in the UK's post-Brexit saga, and the consequences will reverberate across the political landscape for months, if not years, to come. The Supreme Court's explosive ruling against Keir Starmer's secret EU deal has sent shockwaves through the British political landscape, triggering a cascade of reactions that reveal just how deep and far-reaching this crisis truly is. Almost immediately after the announcement, politicians from all sides scrambled to respond, each calculating how this seismic development could reshape their fortunes and the future of the country. For Starmer and the Labour Party, the ruling represents not just a legal defeat, but a monumental political disaster, striking at the core of their credibility and casting doubt over their commitment to the democratic will expressed through Brexit. Labour's internal divisions, long simmering beneath the surface, have now erupted into the open with startling intensity. Hardline Brexiteers within the party have condemned Starmer's actions as a betrayal of Labour's base and the millions of voters who backed leaving the European Union. Several prominent MPs, known for their outspoken support of Brexit, have openly criticised Starmer's leadership, accusing him of deceiving both the party and the public. Rumours swirl that a faction of MPs may be planning to break away or at least challenge Starmer's leadership in a near-future party conference or emergency vote. The possibility of a leadership challenge has never been more real, as the question of trustworthiness now dominates the Labour narrative. Starmer's promise to deliver a new kind of politics now feels hollow to many, replaced by a growing sense of betrayal and political disillusionment. Opposition parties, especially the Conservatives, have wasted no time exploiting the scandal for their own political advantage. Conservative leaders have slammed Starmer mercilessly, painting him as a shadowy figure willing to undermine British sovereignty and manipulate the democratic process behind closed doors. Conservative MPs have used fiery language on social media and during parliamentary debates, calling for urgent investigations and labelling the secret deal as treasonous and unpatriotic. This controversy plays directly into the hands of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who has been struggling with his own political challenges and waning popularity. By framing Starmer as out of touch with the will of the people, Sunak's government hopes to regain lost ground and rally support ahead of looming elections. Beyond Westminster, grassroots political groups and activists have mobilised quickly in response to the ruling. Pro-Brexit organisations have staged rallies and protests demanding accountability and immediate action against those responsible for the secret deal. These movements emphasise their outrage not only at Starmer, but at the political elite more broadly, who they accuse of repeatedly ignoring the referendum result and undermining the democratic mandate. The scandal has energised right-wing populist groups who see this moment as validation of their long-standing claims about the deep state and backdoor deals crafted by establishment politicians. Social media has become a battlefield, with hashtags calling for Starmer's resignation trending across multiple platforms, fueling widespread public debate and media frenzy. The public reaction has been equally intense and divided. Polling data released shortly after the court's decision shows a significant drop in Starmer's personal approval ratings and waning support for Labour. Voters who once saw Starmer as a pragmatic alternative now question his integrity and trustworthiness. The perception that he concealed critical information about Britain's relationship with the EU has alienated both Leave and Remain supporters, making it harder for him to maintain a broad coalition. Many citizens express deep frustration at the lack of transparency and fear that the UK's sovereignty continues to be compromised despite the Brexit vote. The Supreme Court ruling has revived concerns about Britain's future outside the EU, with renewed debates about trade, immigration and national identity dominating news headlines and dinner table conversations across the country. Legal experts and constitutional scholars are weighing in as well, highlighting the far-reaching implications of the ruling beyond politics. The decision underscores the importance of parliamentary sovereignty and the necessity of transparent governance in maintaining democratic legitimacy. Some experts warn that the breach exposed by the secret deal could set dangerous precedents if left unchallenged, potentially allowing future governments to bypass parliamentary scrutiny on critical international agreements. The ruling is being studied closely by legal teams and politicians alike, as it could reshape how treaties and deals with international bodies are negotiated and ratified in the UK moving forward. This could lead to significant reforms in parliamentary procedure and government accountability, ensuring that such secret deals never happen again. Internationally, the ruling has attracted considerable attention. EU officials, long wary of the UK's post-Brexit trajectory, view the Supreme Court decision as a reaffirmation of Britain's sovereign right to fully control its destiny outside the Union. However, some Brussels insiders warn that this may harden attitudes on both sides, making future UK-EU negotiations even more fraught and challenging. The ruling also serves as a signal to other countries watching the UK closely about the legal and political risks involved in secret diplomatic agreements. Global media outlets have extensively covered the story, analysing its impact on Britain's international standing and the stability of its trade and diplomatic relationships. As the dust continues to settle, the immediate question is what will happen next for Starmer and the Labour Party. Political commentators suggest that the scandal will dominate headlines and parliamentary debates for weeks, if not months, forcing Starmer to either come clean fully or face mounting pressure to resign. The Labour leader's response in the coming days will be critical in determining whether he can salvage his political career or whether this scandal marks the beginning of a long decline. Calls for parliamentary investigations and potential criminal inquiries loom large, with some MPs demanding full transparency and accountability from everyone involved in the secret deal. The Supreme Court's ruling has thrown the UK's political future into uncertainty, stirring up old wounds from the Brexit referendum and igniting fierce debates about sovereignty, democracy and trust. For many, this moment represents a critical turning point that could redefine British politics for years to come. The nation watches with bated breath as the fallout unfolds, eager to see if justice will be served and if those responsible for this betrayal of public trust will be held to account. One thing is clear, the secret EU deal has been struck down, but the political earthquake it has triggered is only just beginning. The Supreme Court's ruling has plunged Keir Starmer's leadership into a full-blown crisis, one that threatens to destabilise the Labour Party like never before. Behind closed doors, senior Labour officials are scrambling to contain the fallout, but the internal discord is growing louder and more dangerous with each passing day. Starmer, who once presented himself as a unifying figure capable of healing the divisions left by Brexit and previous Labour defeats, now faces unprecedented challenges to his authority. The secret EU deal scandal has shattered the fragile trust many MPs and party members placed in him, igniting fierce debate over the party's direction, values and future. Reports from inside Labour's corridors of power paint a picture of a party fractured along multiple fault lines. The traditional Labour heartlands, particularly in Northern England and the Midlands, regions that overwhelmingly voted Leave, feel betrayed and alienated. Starmer's perceived attempt to keep secret negotiations with the EU is seen by many as an outright rejection of the democratic mandate delivered by those communities during the 2016 referendum. Grassroots members have begun openly questioning whether the party still represents their interests, or if it has been hijacked by political elites pursuing a hidden agenda. The resulting disillusionment threatens to shrink Labour's voter base dramatically ahead of the next general election. Starmer's political opponents within the party are emboldened by the ruling, rallying calls for his immediate resignation. Some of the most vocal critics belong to the Labour left and the hard Brexiteer faction, who accuse him not only of secrecy, but also of ideological betrayal. These critics argue that Starmer's leadership is out of touch with the party's traditional values and has drifted dangerously close to centrist policies that alienate the working class. They demand a full internal investigation into the secret deal, transparency on all related communications, and a complete overhaul of the party's leadership. The notion that Starmer might cling to power despite such overwhelming backlash is becoming increasingly untenable, as pressure mounts from MPs, unions, and party activists alike. At the same time, Starmer's close allies are reportedly divided on how to respond to the crisis. Some counsel a strategy of full transparency and public apology, hoping that acknowledging mistakes and cooperating with investigations might salvage his leadership. Others advocate a more defiant stance, denying any wrongdoing and framing the court ruling as politically motivated interference designed to weaken Labour. This split has created further uncertainty within the party, undermining the cohesive message needed to weather such a storm. The lack of a unified response risks deepening public scepticism and weakening Labour's standing in the eyes of voters already disillusioned by years of political turmoil. The scandal has also reignited debates over Labour's stance on Brexit and the EU. Starmer's previous attempts to balance a pro-EU outlook with the realities of Brexit, Britain now appear untenable. Many Labour MPs fear that the party's ambiguous position on this issue is costing them crucial support, especially among working-class voters who feel that their voice has been ignored or sidelined. Discussions about whether Labour should adopt a clearer, more unequivocal Brexit policy have gained urgency, with factions pushing for either a stronger embrace of the Leave result or a renewed focus on closer ties with Europe. The internal struggle over this issue adds another layer of complexity to the party's efforts to recover from the scandal and rebuild trust. Labour's poll numbers have plummeted in the wake of the court ruling, reflecting the damage done to the party's reputation. Public confidence in Starmer's leadership has been eroded, and many voters are now questioning whether Labour is capable of governing effectively. As the crisis deepens, political analysts warn that the Labour Party faces a defining moment in its history. The secret EU deal scandal could either catalyse long overdue reforms or accelerate the party's decline. Starmer's ability to navigate this turmoil will determine not only his political fate, but also the future direction of Labour as a whole. The party stands at a crossroads, with the risk of fragmentation looming large if a clear and decisive path forward is not found. The unfolding drama will continue to captivate the nation and shape the UK's political landscape for years to come. In conclusion, the secret EU deal scandal and the Supreme Court striking down of Keir Starmer's leadership represent a critical moment in British politics. This is a time for the public to awaken to the realities of political secrecy and demand a new era of openness, honesty, and accountability. By staying informed, speaking out, and participating fully in the democratic process, citizens can influence the future direction of the country and help rebuild trust in the political system. This is not merely a political crisis for one party. It is a national call to action that affects every voter, every community, and every aspect of the nation's future. If you want to stay updated on this developing story, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with others who need to know the truth. Your voice matters, and together, the people can hold those in power accountable. The next chapter of this political saga is unfolding now. Don't miss it.